All right, guys. So super woke revolutionary Mara Gay went on MSNBC this morning and probably gave one of the most ridiculous takes I've ever seen in my life in regards to whiteness and being American and Trump supporters. Take a listen.
I think this is another area where Democrats really need to get serious about talking about what this threat is. I think you said it really well, Joe, a minute ago, where you talked about the need to stop being surprised by all of this and start taking it seriously. You know, it's really concerning to me that the Democrats haven't just gone ahead at this point and said we're doing this on our own in terms of getting a commission together to explain to the American people how we allowed the insurrection to take place in the Capitol. I think that really needs to move forward swiftly. The reality is here that we have a large percentage of the American population. I don't know how big it is, but we have tens of millions of Trump voters who continue to believe that their rights as citizens are under threat by simple virtue of having to share the democracy with others. I think as long as they see Americanness as the same as one with whiteness, this is going to continue. We have to figure out how to get every American a place at the table in this democracy, but how to separate Americanness, America, from whiteness. Until we can confront that and talk about that, this is really going to continue. I was on Long Island this weekend visiting a really dear friend, and I was really disturbed. I saw, dozens and dozens of pickup trucks with, explicatives against Joe Biden on the back of them, Trump flags, and some cases just dozens of American flags, which is also just disturbing because essentially the message was clear. It was, this is my country. This is not your country. I own this. And so until we're ready to have that conversation, this is going to continue. What really is concerning to me as well is it's not just Democrats in Congress. I think there's a large percentage of Americans, even some of my colleagues in journalism, who are invested in some way in pretending that this isn't the threat that it is. That is the real concern, because, the Trump voters who are not going to get on board with democracy, they're a minority. You can marginalize them long term. But if we don't take the threat seriously, then I think we're all in really bad shape.
Totally agree. Mara Gay and Tom Nichols, thank you.
All right, guys. So, listen, I'm not really even going to address the part about the January 6th commission and addressing violence in this country, particularly political violence, because anybody that's talking about the January 6th commission and talking about addressing political violence in this country, if they're not talking about addressing what happened all last year, they're not serious about it. I don't want to hear from you, okay? Because you're not a serious person. Out of all the major conservative commentators, almost 95% of them have called the Capitol riots what it is, right? They said it was wrong. And they've also said that the BLM protest is wrong. All the conservative commentators have acknowledged this. Nobody on the left has acknowledged just the basic facts of what happened last year. They want to ignore that. But yet they're only concerned about political violence if it comes from Trump supporters or white people. That's the only thing they're concerned about. Even though, again, the last 4 years, this big threat of white violence that she keeps talking about has been damn near non-existent. Damn near non-existent. Haven't seen it. I'm a black person. And I'm telling you, I haven't seen it. Please show me. But she goes on to talk about associating Americanness with whiteness, right? How some people see being American as being white and how we need to separate Americanness and whiteness. And again, I have to wonder, what world is she living in? Being an American encompasses just being born in this country, living in this country, being a citizen in this country. Being an American has nothing to do with your race. I don't understand where you're getting this from. I'm a proud American, okay? I'm a proud American. And it has nothing to do with my race. I feel like I belong in this country. I feel like this country has afforded me great opportunities. I feel like you can do anything in this country if you put your mind to it. And it has nothing to do with my race whatsoever. So am I white because I like being American? Like, am I white because I embrace Americanness? I embrace traditional American values? Am I white because of that? Like, what are you saying? And it's funny because she's trying to say we need to disassociate Americanness and whiteness. We need to separate them, while at the same time she's trying to say that Americanness is white. In order to do what she says she's trying to do, what you need to do is that you actually need to embrace being American. Be proud to be an American. To, you know, like me, have an American flag in your background and proudly fly your American flag to show people that, hey, I'm American just like everybody else is. But it's funny how, again, the left is full of two-dimensional thinkers, right? She's not even a two-dimensional thinker. She might be a one-dimensional thinker. And it's funny because the few three-dimensional thinkers on the left, or those who occasionally have three-dimensional thoughts, who think outside of the box. For example, when Andrew Yang wrote an op-ed in which he talked about how the Asian community should address anti-Asian hate crimes during peak COVID, he said, listen, we need to show that we're American just like everybody else. We need to show that we're a part of the cure. We're not the problem, right? We're a part of the cure. So we need to volunteer. We need to fly American flags. We need to fly our American paraphernalia and show patriotism and show that we are proud Americans. We're just like everybody else. But the left criticized him for that because the only way they think is that, well, you have to show that you hate America and that America is trash and that America is a terrible country and America is this and America and that. It's always negative. But what Andrew Yang was actually getting at was that, hey, we need to claim ownership of what being a good American is. We need to show that we are good Americans. And the way that you do that is that you fly your American paraphernalia. You show patriotism. You show that you love this country. It's really not that hard. At these BLM protests, they never fly the American flag. All they fly is the BLM flag. Why is that? Because again, they're telling people they hate America. That's all they say. They hate America. They don't like America. When they really should be flying their American flags. If they flew their American flags, then it would look like, okay, we're fighting for America. That's what it looked like. Instead, it looks like you're fighting for the destruction of America. That's what it looks like. Again, at least that's how a lot of people are going to interpret it. People can criticize those on the right all they want, right? And these Capitol rioters. But the reason why they fly their American flags is because they feel like they're fighting for their country. So if she really feels that flying the American flag is a symbol of whiteness, or being American is a symbol of whiteness, then you should claim ownership of the flag. And it would probably be helpful if at some of these social justice protests, they started flying the American flag. Get rid of all these other flags, just fly the American flag. It would probably look like, hey, they're fighting for this country. They're not fighting to destroy the country. But otherwise, when you're flying all these other flags and you're burning the American flag, it looks like you're fighting to destroy the country. Again, this stuff is not hard. It's common sense. Symbolism is important. There's a difference between being negative and showing hatred. This person seems to have hatred for this country. This is what it sounds like. It sounds like hatred and disdain. And I do not understand why. I really don't. I get it. Our history is not perfect. But no country's history is perfect. I cannot think of a better place on earth to be black than in America. There's no country in Africa that you're going to have a better life being a black person than you are being in America. Point blank, period. Again, that doesn't mean America can't be better. But what it means is that just based off of that, I appreciate what America is. Okay, it ain't perfect, but I appreciate what it is, and I'm proud to be an American. That's why I have my American flag. That's why I proudly fly it. Again, that doesn't make me white. It just makes me a proud American person, regardless of my color. And there's so many people that feel that way. Whether they're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, there's so many people that feel that way. So when she talks about being offended by the American flag, that language, it really just perpetuates what you say you're against. But that's why I try to tell people about these progressives. They claim to be progressing, but where are you progressing us towards? It sounds to me like she's progressing us towards a society where you want to continue to marginalize Trump supporters and just talk bad about white folks all day, right? That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds to me like you want more division. Then she talking about being offended by seeing bumper stickers that have F Biden. Well, how many bumper stickers have you seen that got F Trump? There are whole songs about F Trump, how bad Trump is. I mean, again, y'all remember that picture Kathy Griffin had of her holding up Trump's head, a decapitated head of Trump? But see, she has nothing to say about that. She has nothing to say about the things that are put forth from the left that are 10 to 20 times worse than anything I've seen on the right. I've never seen that. I've never seen a picture of Obama's decapitated head being held up by a major figure on the right. I've never seen that whatsoever. Never seen it. But for whatever reason, I'm offended by a bumper sticker that says F Biden. When you got 100 times more worse things that have been said and signs that have been displayed about Trump. But she act like it's just native to just right-wingers. Only right-wingers do that. Again, like I said, these people are not living in reality. And it really bothers me that people on MSNBC, they never push back. Why do people not push back against these radicals? What your job as a journalist is to push back on these people, not to accept everything. And it's sad to see a host who's white sit here and listen to her guest who's a black woman tell her how bad being white is. She did not think for 1 second to say, hey, you know what do you mean by whiteness being bad? Because I'm white and I don't feel like I'm a bad person. Maybe she does feel like she's a bad person. Maybe she does have white guilt. But I'm just saying, if she had any amount of cojones, she would push back and ask, what do you mean by that? Are you saying that there are only certain traits associated with being whiteness? Are you saying that being a proud American is only reserved for those who are white? Is that what you're saying? I don't understand. And again, what bothers me the most is the fact that there's never any pushback towards these people. They just let these people say what they want and they just accept it. Nobody challenges their ideas. And this is how these radical ideas spread like wildfire, because nobody's pushing back against it. Now, to the flag thing a little bit, I just want to make it clear. I don't care what flag you fly. You can fly whatever flag you want to fly. The only thing I'm saying is that if you want to, disassociate the American flag from just whiteness, I don't know, maybe you should embrace the American flag. Okay? Embrace it. Start flying it. But what also bothers me is how she talks about how Trump supporters should be marginalized, how we have to deal with Trump supporters because they have different opinions than everybody else. And she's actively advocating to marginalize a certain group of people based off their political affiliation and also based off race. She's talking about having to deal with whiteness in this country, that whiteness is a problem. Guys, have you ever seen a white person go on Fox News and say, we need to deal with blackness, that blackness is a problem in response to BLM protests? I've never seen it in my life. Never seen it. And if that was to happen on Fox News, I'm pretty sure it would be a shitstorm for somebody saying something like that. And who knows? I mean, I'm not saying that this doesn't happen in, more fringe right-wing circles. It probably does. But this type of rhetoric on the left is up front and in front of everybody. It's mainstream on the left. The radical racial divisiveness is extreme and is mainstream when it comes to the left. That's the difference. And like I said, man, I think this type of rhetoric, I think this type of behavior from these people is leading to the exact opposite of what these people claim that they want. It really is. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.